So the big question is this: how these entrepreneurs who started from scratch and had no idea how to sell or market their products or services online and then later on made over 6 figures, 7 figures or even 8 figures became best in their niches and found their dream customers to sell. My name is Ahmed and find this all out in our Interviews with Entrepreneurs show. I interviewed these entrepreneurs and tried to pick their brain of how they actually did that and how they took their business as well as their life to the next level. This podcast is all about the entrepreneurs who strive so hard to become super awesome in their niches. Welcome to Interviews with Entrepreneurs. Kind of a backstory of that thing out there. When I saw him, like Zeky, who is the guest on our show, he was all around everywhere because he was on the point of like launching his software, which was the very first guy whom I saw, and I was like, man, I have to have my own software out there. And I was watching Zeky; he was like crushing it in the space, coming up with the software, which was like absolutely. I use it every single day. I saw like so many people use it every single day. Would really kind of built a desire for me personally out there that, hey, I have to have a software, which I later on went in, and I went in and built my own software as well. Not only that, he's also an awesome affiliate marketer. Not only that, but also a good storyteller as well. So we're gonna discuss a lot of stuff out there. So please welcome Zaki Ahmed. Hey Zaki.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Thanks for having me here, RJ. Excited to be on the interview podcast.
Thank you so much, man. Truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time for being on the show today.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's my honor.
Jumping a live, use hashtag live. The people are jumping a replay, use hashtag replay. So, like Zaki, like could you walk us through a backstory of how you actually got started in the space?
Yeah, for sure. So my story starts back in 2012, actually. So I've been in this game for quite a while now, almost a decade. Most of that time not having any success, very similar to the story I'm sure a lot of people watching, whether they're successful already or they're still on that journey of trying to get there. A lot of people usually can relate. So I got started, back in 2012. I actually got my introduction into entrepreneurship and business through MLM. At the time, I was working I was working on a tomato farm, doing labor type of jobs for a little bit less than minimum wage, and I was also a university student. And I was hanging out with a couple buddies in their basement. We were playing 2K12, I think it was at the time, 2K12 or 2K11 basketball video game, right? And then my buddy was telling me about his friend from another city, Ottawa, which is like 6 hours out from where I lived at the time, Windsor, Ontario, who had started this business and was supposedly having a lot of success. Now, I didn't know what the guy was doing, but the reason he was telling me about this guy, his friend, was because the guy was going to be coming over, and I think they went back to like grade school together, like they knew each other for a long time. So he said, this guy's going to be coming over, and you guys will meet him. So I met the guy. He was very, very motivating. I didn't really understand what it was he was doing, but he told me that he had this meeting that was going on and going to talk about what it is that he did. So I went and I joined him. It was an MLM network marketing meeting, and that was kind of my introduction, right? So I jumped into that. For a couple of years. I was doing that. Got a little bit of results, but didn't really go anywhere with it. But because of that experience, it opened up this light bulb in my mind of wanting to be an entrepreneur and not wanting to settle for working a typical job. And during that journey, at the same time I was working jobs, so by then I had a bit of experience in different fields. So I did, labor, working on farms, which was very like physically intensive. And then I moved on from that to getting into sales. And for a couple of years I was working in sales. And then from sales, I got into more management type of stuff. So I had kind of introduction into different areas of the work world, 9-to-5 jobs. And I knew that wasn't for me because there were a lot of things that naturally didn't click well with me. I'm not the best at reporting to somebody else. I didn't like getting those phone calls from my boss, and every time I thought that I was about to be fired when they told me that they needed to talk about something. And also I didn't like the, not feeling like I had the freedom, not having the constant challenge of growth. A lot of times what would happen was when I got into a job, I would be, in the beginning, I was very excited. Like, for example, when I started working sales, I was very excited in the beginning because I was learning new things. But after a while, it started to become mundane. It was the same old thing over and over. And, I just started to dread it. So what ended up happening was, I never let go of that dream of being an entrepreneur and having success as an entrepreneur. So fast forward to around 2016, I started an e-commerce store. And I had taken a course at the time. There was a big push for drop shipping. For those of you who've been around for a couple of years, I know there's people who still push drop shipping, but back in 2016, that was like the new thing. That was the big thing. Everybody was pushing drop shipping, setting up stores in Shopify, and then running Facebook ads and all of that. So I had taken a course and I started doing it. I tried a couple of different e-commerce stores, actually, different niches. And I was just running Facebook ads, testing tons of products. And I did that for a year and a half. And sometimes, like I got minor results sometimes in that, like so with some products I managed to break even, et cetera, but I never really managed to get it off of the road. And eventually what ended up happening, about a year and a half, 2 years after getting into e-commerce, was I hit a turning point in my journey as an entrepreneur. And what led up to that turning point was I made a couple bad decisions financially. The whole mindset that I had and that was being pushed in the dropshipping world was you just need to keep testing products, and eventually you're going to find a winning product. And once even though you spent a lot of money in running those ads to test the products, once you find that winner, it's going to make back all the money that you spent, and you're going to be able to scale up from there. And now you got a profitable business. So that was the mindset I was approaching it with. So with that mindset, I've always been a bit of a risk taker growing up. I feel like that's also one of the reasons that I gravitate towards entrepreneurship. So while I was doing this, I started skipping out on some of my bills. I didn't pay my rent for a couple months. I didn't pay my phone bill, other bills, electricity, so on and so forth, because I figured I'm like, I got letters from my landlord and everything that, hey, you forgot to pay your rent. But I figured, he can handle like 2-3 months while I get this profitable. And then I'll be able to pay him everything and we'll be good and I'll have a profitable business. Now, the problem with that was I'm the oldest of 5 siblings. And, my dad was overseas building his own business over there. So so in Canada, I was living, it was me, my 4 younger siblings and my mom, and I was essentially the man of the house who was taking care of everything, the bills and all of that. So everybody was relying on me. Now, they didn't know that for the past couple months I had been skipping out on these bills because I had this mindset where I'm on the verge of getting profitable, and I had products that were selling, so I figured I just needed to tweak things and I was going to be profitable. At the same time, also, I was struggling financially personally because I was a student still. I had I took a couple years off between, as I mentioned, back in 2012. So I started university in I think it was 2010 or 2011. Then I took off a bunch of years and I was just working, and then I got back into school. So at this time I was in school. I had a part-time job and I was trying to build a business. Now the part-time job, since it was part-time, it wasn't paying me a lot of money. So what ended up happening was, this is why I started skipping out on bills. I wanted to basically take every penny that I had to put into these ads so that I can actually fund them. Now, I didn't tell my family about the struggles I was going through financially, because also, aside from the fact that I thought I was going to be profitable in a second, I also had a bit of I had a bit of an ego, a bit of pride. I didn't want them to see me as like I'm messing up, because my whole life also, I was the black sheep in the family. When I was younger, always getting into trouble. I was just turning my life around, and I didn't want them to think that, oh man, Zeky's still irresponsible like he was when he was younger. So long story short, what ended up happening from those bad decisions was I got this letter in the mail from my landlord that told me that I owed him $2,000, $2,600 in back due rent. And he was giving me 2 months to pay that rent, plus any new rent that was going to come due within those 2 months. So total, it would be around $4,000, or else we were going to be evicted. It was a legal notice. He's going to take us to court. We're going to be evicted, and me and my family are going to end up on the streets. So needless to say, it was it was very emotionally, it was just horrible. That's the best way I can explain it. It was a horrible moment. It was really the darkest moment in my entire journey. Because like I said, uh, by this point, I had been trying to build different types of businesses, just make it as an entrepreneur for 6 years. And I hadn't gotten any results. I thought at this point I was on the verge of getting those results. But then now when I got this letter, I realized I don't have time. I don't have another like month, 2 months, 3 months to make this thing work. I need to stop this eviction from happening, and I need to make sure that my family and my mother isn't going to end up on the streets because of me. So I ended up borrowing, first off, I ended up shutting down the business because I didn't have cash to run the business anymore. Like I said, at that point, I was relying on Facebook ads. That was the only way that I knew how to drive traffic, which meant that my business was done because I didn't have the cash and I couldn't afford to use money that I can't afford to spend. So I shut down the business. Kind of felt like this was the end of the journey for me, and that I tried for so long and now things didn't work out, so I don't know what the heck I'm going to do. But I had to figure out the situation. I borrowed some money from friends, managed to avoid the eviction, but now I had a bunch of money that I owed to my friends. So I still couldn't give up, because honestly, at that point, after all of that stress, after everything I went through with the e-commerce store, just that year and a half itself trying to build the e-commerce store was a crazy emotional ride. And I wanted to give up, because I started even questioning myself if it's even possible for me to ever make money online. I started asking myself if anybody even actually makes money online. All of these people that I see, on these gurus or these other people like influencers who talk about making money with funnels or talk about making money with their e-commerce stores. I started questioning all of it, if it was even legitimate or if these people were just blowing smoke. And the same time when I was questioning that, though, I was smart enough to know that I'm like, I've bought things online before. And if I'm buying something online, somebody else is on the other side of that transaction taking the money. So obviously, there's people who are making money online. Jeff Bezos now, one of, if not the richest man in the world, made his money online, right? So I knew that it didn't make sense for me to say that this can't be true. And also, I didn't have the option to give up, because the fact is, like, I was working a job where I wasn't making a lot of money per month. So there was no way through my job I was going to be able to pay my friends back while also still covering the bills and all the expenses that I had. And on top of that, I didn't have any qualifications really to get a good job that was going to pay me more than minimum wage. Because at this point, I had spent so much time, I went to university for political science first years ago. And then I switched to another degree, communication. And then I switched from this degree, whatever, just trying to figure out what I was doing. Then I took off a bunch of years. And then now I was back in again, trying to do business. And I had no degree. I had a high school, diploma, but that was only going to get me a minimum wage job, and a minimum wage job wasn't going to get me out of my financial rut. So I realized that the only way really for me to pay back my friends within the next couple of months, like I promised them, was for me to find another way to make some money online, or to make money essentially as an entrepreneur. So I started looking for other opportunities or other avenues that I could took. And that's when I stumbled upon Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. So I'm guessing, RJ, I know you're in the whole ClickFunnels world. I know a lot of your audience very likely are already familiar with Russell Brunson and his book, Expert Secrets. For those of you guys who are not familiar with it, basically the whole premise of the book is how to build a business selling your advice, AKA an information business. Now, up until then, for the past a year and a half to 2 years, I had been trying to sell physical products through e-commerce, through Shopify. And when I picked up this book and I started reading about Russell Brunson's story, a light bulb went went off in my mind, because I realized that, I had actually gotten pretty decent at running Facebook ads, and especially the targeting for Facebook ads. And the only issue that I had really with my e-commerce brand, the reason I wasn't able to get it profitable was a couple of reasons. Number one, I wasn't really building an audience or a list. So I was relying on front end sales. I wasn't doing much on the back end, right? So for those of you who've been in the game for a while, you know that that's a recipe to really struggle in business. But that's all I knew. I didn't know better at the time. I was just relying completely on the front end. And the other reason that I was struggling was because technically, if you looked at the ROI on my ads, or the ROAS, it would say that I was in the positive. But the reality of it is the ads were not the only cost for me to run a business selling physical products. I also had to take care of purchasing the products in the first place that I was reselling on my store. So I had to have inventory, or not inventory because I was drop shipping, but I had to buy the products. I had to ship the products to people. I had to deal with returns and all of that kind of stuff. And all of that costs money. And because of those additional costs, by virtue of working with physical products, my business was not profitable. So when I read the book by Extra Secrets by Russell Brunson, I realized, I'm like, hey, if I start selling digital products, information products, where all I have to do is, let's say if I was selling a course, I just record a video like this video that we're doing right now, and I package that into a product or an offer, and I can keep selling that, and I don't have to keep doing this, creating this product again, or I don't have to pay money to keep creating the product, then I can build a profitable business. And my ads, since I've been running the ads themselves, that component profitably, then maybe I can be profitable. So that's what I decided to do. Now, the struggle that I had was, up until then, I didn't know what expertise I had that I could sell people, because it's not like I built a profitable business. So I couldn't teach them how to make $1 million in a month, so I didn't know what I could sell. So what I decided to do is, in the book, Russell Brunson kind of mentions it. I don't remember how in depth he went into it, but he kind of mentioned it as like a side thing, is if you don't have your own expertise to sell, you can sell other people's expertise, which is what we call affiliate marketing. So that idea intrigued me, because that solved my problem, where now I can start selling information products or digital products, maybe software and other stuff. But I don't really need to know anything or have a track record, because I can rely on other people who created those products, who have that track record, who had those testimonials, and I could just send people their way. So that's what I decided to do. And I ended up building so I ended up going into affiliate marketing. I had a whole journey with that. My first month in affiliate marketing, I figured, I already got a lot of experience running Facebook ads, so let me just use Facebook ads to grow this. And that didn't work out. I spent the next month running Facebook ads with a little bit of the money that was left over from what I borrowed from my friends. And that resulted in me just losing an additional $800 in those Facebook ads, which in the grand scheme of things, now looking back, it's not a lot of money, but for me at the time, it was a lot of money. And I didn't make any sales. So I was even deeper in the hole than I was before I got into that. So after that first month in affiliate marketing, I decided, I'm like, screw Facebook ads. I'm not going to use any ads anymore. I got to figure out how to do this organically. And I knew about organic marketing. This whole time I knew about organic marketing. I had heard about it before, but I never wanted to pursue it, because I had this perception that organic marketing is going to take forever, and I can't wait till I'm 80 years old to start making some money. So that's why I was trying to run ads. But at this point, I had no choice, because I didn't have money to spend on ads. I already spent way more money than I could afford, and I needed to be able to pay my friends back. And on top of that, I need to be able to cover my bills, take care of my family, and all of that. So what I did next was, basically, I started asking myself, okay, so how can I start getting results without ads? So I joined a bunch of Facebook groups that were focused around affiliate marketing at the time. And the people in these Facebook groups, there were a couple like major influencers, especially in the ClickFunnels space. And they each had their groups, and they were talking about how they were building their businesses organically. And they were sharing a lot of strategies for free and Facebook Live trainings, posts, and all of that. So what I did was I started reading those posts, watching their videos, consuming that content, and just putting that stuff into practice. And I was very desperate. So I was like, I'm not going to just sit around and consume this content. I got to put it into practice right now. And what ended up happening was, a month from that point, the strategy I essentially started using was kind of what, at the time, it was a new thing. But now it's kind of like the go-to thing when people think organic marketing in Facebook, which is, I just started engaging inside of different Facebook groups where my ideal audience was, connecting with them, building my friends list, and then just having conversations with people in Messenger to point them towards products that I was an affiliate for. And doing that, over the next month, I managed to pass my first $1,000 in commissions through affiliate marketing. And that was the first $1,000 that I ever made online as well. So for me, $1,000 is not a crazy amount of money. Depending who's watching this, for some people it is, and I respect that. For some people, it is a lot of money. And for me at the time, it was a lot of money. But more importantly was the mindset shift that happened because of that. And basically what it did for me was, I explained before how I got to this point where I had started to lose faith. I didn't know if this whole internet marketing thing was real. I didn't know. I started questioning whether I was even capable of doing it at all. But doing this, that month, that this was like my second month now in affiliate marketing, where I finally started getting results. Making that first $1,000 of commissions told me that this is actually real. And it was that mindset shift. And then from there, that's when I really started getting serious. And I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to go hardcore with this. This is what I'm going to do moving forward. And so I did. There was a lot of stuff that happened. In the course of that, I built up a Facebook group and started building up my audience and just kept doing this whole organic game. And over the next couple of months, I was making an average of about $2,000, $2,500 per month. And then eventually, a couple months later, I had built up my Facebook group, and it was like the end of the year now. So the Facebook group I started building in September, it was the end of the year, a couple of months, and I just kept going at it. I managed to hit my first 10K month that December. And then 2 months from then, I left my job for good. And ever since then, been working for myself full time. So that's kind of the origin story where it all started. From there, there's a lot of stuff that happened. I mean, like you said, I launched my software, Comment Funnels, which that was a great experience. A lot of lessons from that. And then I kind of shifted my brand a little bit. I still do affiliate marketing. I still do affiliate marketing a lot, actually. But it's not my sole focus anymore. I have my own software. I also do, some consulting and coaching and stuff like that. So kind of the journey just kind of like branched out from there. But that's my story in a nutshell.
Absolutely, man. I really love it out there. And especially I really love the consistency. I think a lot of people out there, especially the newbie entrepreneurs who start out, is they just don't wait. They're spending 1 month or 2 months, they start to get desperate. In the initial start, they're like, oh my God, why are we not making money? Which is crazy. And watching your journey out there, like you said, around a decade, which is a really good amount of time, actually. Especially in the States, is a pretty good amount of time. How the industry is, actually. So I want to know that how actually you was super resistant. You were like, I'm going to do it. You were persistent. You were consistent. That is the reason why you actually made it happen. What you see is a common thing happens in the entrepreneurs right now, especially the newbies. Why they're so desperate? Why they can't wait and understand this thing can take time? When a degree can take 4 years, when there's nothing after that, if they're not a doctor or a lawyer, why they can really wait and build up a skill, build up an audience, and then start selling it? Why they're super desperate with that? No offense to newbies, guys.
100%, man. And by the way, I still look at it the same way now, because like the way I look at my own journey, and sometimes I got to remind myself, because sometimes I get frustrated. To be completely frank, sometimes I get frustrated looking at, things I'm doing or where I am in my business, and I compare myself. I'm getting better at this now, but I still do it. And a lot of people do this. This is something I'm trying to work on. But I compare myself to other people that I know that are, a couple years further in the journey than me.
Same.
And I'm exactly. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, man, I start to get a little stressed. But then I remind myself, I'm young. To some people, I might sound old here, but to a lot of people, I'll be young. I just turned 30 years old. I'm in this for the long run. So the thing is, like, yes, money loves speed. You guys probably heard this phrase, money loves speed. So I don't use this as an excuse to procrastinate. Still have that urgency. Still, do what you got to do and get results now. But really, for me, what I'm looking at is where I'm going to be 10 years from now. So even if like I've been trying to do this thing for 10 years, now I started, or not 10 years, but like now it's like 8 years, 9 years or so. And I started getting results, back in 2018. But for me, where I am now, I still view myself at the beginning of my journey, because I'm looking at where I am like 10 years from now. 10 years from now, my plan is that I'm going to be a world-class marketer. When you guys talk about Dan Kennedy, you guys talk about people like Frank Kern that people look up to, whatever, Zeky Ahmed is going to be there too. And that's 10 years. A lot can be done in 10 years. So that's why, the whole thing you're talking about, consistency, it doesn't, like in the beginning when you're getting results, it is crucial, but also doesn't stop there, because now I still view myself in the beginning in relation to where I want to be 10 years, 20 years from now.
That's absolutely interesting out there, because that's so true. Like when newbie gets into space, into the noisy world of internet marketing, they start to see other people out there making a lot of money. They're like, oh my God, like is that even possible for us to do it? And the second thing that you said is, I talk about it a lot. I like, don't compare yourself. But for me personally out there, when your circle grows, you see other people, let's say, making six-figure million a month, and you're like, they are 10 years of your time, they're 15 years, patience, guys. And you said like you're 30 at the moment. I'm 21. I'm gonna turn 22 in like 2 days. So thinking that at the point out there, I'm at the perfect moment out there.
Yeah.
And having that gratitude comes up and be like, okay, that's fine. So yeah, I really love your answer, man. So tell me one thing, like how you actually came up with the idea of FriendFunnels. Because as I said from myself, I saw you when you were all around the space talking about common funnels. And I was like, man, this is awesome. I have to have my own software. Then I got into Chromebox and I was like, okay, let me build my own software as well. How you thought about common funnels in general and getting into it then?
Yeah, for sure. So basically the story behind comment funnels, and for those of you who don't know what comment funnels is, it's a software for your Facebook organic marketing. Essentially what it does is, you know when you do those posts, like you're trying to give away an offer or maybe even a freebie, and you say, hey guys, I got this new, cheat sheet I put together with XYZ strategy that has made me whatever over the last month. Comment below if you want to get your hands on it. So here's the problem I ran into. I use that a lot for my marketing. People refer to it as comment ladder posts or yes ladder posts, or I call it a comment funnel, or whatever people call it, two-step posts. I would use that a lot. And as my audience started growing, what would end up happening for me a lot of times when I would do those posts is I would get so many people commenting on it that, like, I've had posts where I literally had, hundreds of people comment on it. And what would end up happening is I would not get back to a lot of people, just simply because I would have to sit there and manually respond to person after person after person to give them whatever it is that I promised. Now, a lot of times, Facebook also has a limit on how many comments you can leave in a short time span. So you can only do so much of that before you have to take a break anyways. So what would end up happening is a lot of times, with other stuff, I get busy with my business. I don't go back and end up responding to everybody. Or alternatively, what will also happen is there would be, after I responded to everybody, there'd be other people that came and commented more, and this post just turns into an endless thing, and I can't possibly get back to everybody, in a respectable amount of time. So the problem with that now is I realized I was leaving a lot of money on the table, a lot of leads on the table, and also I was pissing off a lot of people in my audience because I keep promising them things, and then they ask for it, and then I never give it to them, which is not a good look. So I had this problem that I was dealing with for a while, and I started asking around to some of my other friends that were in the marketing space if they had something that could solve it. And at the time, nobody had a software or had anything to do it. So I figured, I'm like, you know what? I should just go ahead and create the software because I need it. I need something that will automate this and just let me click one button and bam, just respond to everybody. So I figured I'll just go ahead and make the software. Now, I was actually sitting on this idea for a while, and I didn't do it for a while until I was observing everything Kim Dang was doing. And then I was like, okay, you know what? Screw it. Let me just go ahead and make my software anyways. Yeah. Worst case scenario, other people don't really want it, but it will help me with my problem. But I think there's got to be other people that are dealing with the problem too. So what I actually did at that point was, because I wanted to test the market and make sure this was something people actually wanted to do. So I did a little, pre-launch for it, or which Kim Dang, now I know in her program Chrome Boss, she had me record some sessions for it. Actually, is she has her students do the same thing. Yeah. So it was really simple. What I did was I put together a waitlist funnel, and I promised that I was going to give away a certain amount of licenses to the software. I'm going to randomly select people who join the waitlist for it, and then I just started pushing it out there, getting it in front of people, building up a list. So through that, I actually got a lot of people that signed up for it. And then, I also, in that funnel, I created a pre-order deal, which basically the software wasn't created yet, but I explained to them what the software was. And I said, hey, if you like the idea of this, here's what I'm going to do for you now. Since you're on the wait list, I'm going to give you a special one-time offer. Since you're pre-ordering before I even have the software made, I'm going to give you a special low lifetime deal. Whereas later on, I'm going to be charging a monthly subscription for it. You're going to get a lifetime deal on it for X amount of dollars. So I got a good amount of sales, because that's where I wanted to test it. I wanted to see if people were going to actually spend money on this. because if they were, then I knew that there was enough of a demand for me to also start selling this thing once I have it done. So I ended up getting a bunch of sales on that, which literally covered everything. I was in profit on the software before even creating it. It covered the expenses for me hiring a developer and creating the software, expenses for marketing, all of that. So I ended up launching the software already in profit. And then, from there, now the software has like around 1,000 users or so. And I kind of shifted my brand a little. The software's still there. I still have a team that oversees it. I have my developers that work on it, on customer service and all of that. But my brand kind of shifted a bit to other focus, but it's there and it's doing well. So yeah, that was kind of the experience. It was a nice experience. I love software as a way to make money online, because honestly, it's pretty awesome. Software is pretty awesome. You make it once. It's a tool that actually helps people save time, and all you got to do is sell accounts to it, which is as simple as like you automate it anyways. You automate the whole process, so it doesn't actually take extra time for you. So it was pretty cool, and it was a good experience.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a really dope experience out there. And I think Kim have it as a launch like a pro study in Crumbles at the moment, where she's like talking about, and you have your whole process. And I'm like saying to those people out there, just go and follow the process, guys. Don't be like thinking about people are not gonna buy or people are not get the process. But yeah, like that process works like crazy. And as I said, when I saw you, I started to realize, hey, I have to have a software, because during that moment I didn't even know like who owned Group Convert. Later on I get to know about, that's Kim. Okay, that's fine. Then I got into the program. And like software is something like a digital real estate, where you're getting a passive income, and if you're maintaining and this and that, it have a good amount of stuff out there where people just don't understand that.
Yeah, that's the cool thing, by the way, about it is like, I wouldn't call software 100% passive, because here's the thing, like you got to maintain your software, you got to have customer support, whatever. But I would say it is mostly passive, because till today, like if I go into a coma for the whole month, I know that I still have an income coming in from comment funnels that I launched back in 2019, because I have people subscribing to it. I have new people signing up for it every day. So it is very close to being passive. I wouldn't say 100% passive, because if I ignored the software and didn't, software always has like bugs that come up and stuff. So you got to continuously be updating it. But I have a developer that does that for me. I have a customer support team that handles customer support for me and all of that. So as far as the work that it takes from me, it's almost, at this point, it's like next to nothing. So it is pretty much passive. Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty 100%. Awesome.
So I want to talk about one thing out there. When things started to transition for you, as you said, now affiliate marketing is not like a full-time thing out there. You're doing many things out there. I saw that you changed your group from affiliate marketing in general to cult building. Now building culture, build your movement, and so many things. I want to talk about why you believe that people just don't build their audiences. They don't build their cult. They don't build their movement. They just went in. They're just selling. That's it. They're making money. That's fine. But that's not kind of a thing that you're going to have long term. I say this a lot. If you don't have an audience and you don't have an existence in the marketplace, because when you're out, you're done. Nobody even knows who you are. Why you see people out there that don't build their audience, they don't build their movement, they don't build their cult? Why do you think about that?
Yeah, here's the thing, man. I think most of the time, I really don't blame people, honestly, because most of the time people don't really know better. And why I say that is usually in the beginning, for anybody who gets into the entrepreneurship space, trying to build a business, they're really, really just focused on the short term. And they want to start making some money. They might be in a situation like I was, as I illustrated my story earlier, where I was kind of desperate, needed to make some money fast. Or they might not be in that situation, but it's just kind of like, people tend to be much more short-term focused in the beginning. Now here's the thing. I'm not saying you should ignore the short term, because the short term is actually important. If you don't have the short term in check, if you're not making money in the short term, then you're not going to survive long enough to even see the rewards of the long term. However, here's the thing, how it ties into audience building. So because people are so short-term focused, they're kind of doing what I was doing in the beginning, where when I was building my e-commerce brand, I was just relying on traffic, just Facebook ads. And I was just trying to make money on the front end. I wasn't thinking about the longevity of my business. I just wanted to make money here and now by spending money on ads and getting a return on those ads. Similarly, when I was doing organic marketing in the beginning, I was also just focused on how can I get sales now by connecting with people, talking to Messenger or whatever, how I can get sales now. So that's all fine and dandy in the sense of, yeah, you can, if you really hustle, you can get sales now. That's awesome. But the problem is, I can't tell you how many times I've seen people who had a massively successful business, but because they didn't focus on building their own audience, they lost everything. And what do I mean by that? I'll give you one example. I've spoken to a lot of people who have this story that are running Facebook ads. Facebook ads, by far, is one of the most popular ad platforms online right now. And for good reason, because they have very good targeting. You can pretty much reach any target audience on Facebook. But I would see people, a lot of times I've seen a lot of people actually, and I see their comments in Facebook groups where they're like, I had this business I've been building for the past couple of years. We were doing $100,000 or more in revenue per month. Like, I'm talking about really massive businesses. And then all of a sudden, Facebook just changed something. Maybe they changed something in how they run the ads platform, the algorithm. Or a lot of times what's been happening over the past couple of months and even longer than a couple of months is people who've been running ads and then all of a sudden their Facebook ad account just gets shut down. And so they had a profitable business, but then all of a sudden, completely out of their control, their Facebook ads account or their Facebook business manager is just shut down and banned from running ads on the platform. And now they have no business because they never actually built an audience. What they were doing essentially is they were borrowing somebody else's audience, because there always needs to be an audience. When you're any marketing message you're presenting, anything you're trying to sell, you have to sell to an audience. Now the question is, what audience are you going to sell it to? When you're running your business 100% entirely on ads, that means you're borrowing the audience of Mark Zuckerberg or of Pinterest or of YouTube, whoever you're buying your ads from. Cool. Similarly, let's say, probably a lot of people watching this video are doing Facebook organic. So let's say you're doing Facebook organic instead. So a typical story of what someone might do on Facebook organic is they're going to find a couple Facebook groups they can target that have their ideal audience inside of it. And they're going to go join those groups. They're going to be active members of that community, providing value, helping people, answering questions, adding people as friends, all of that. And they're trying to build they're trying to build a reputation. They're trying to build a rapport. They're trying to build a level of authority within those Facebook communities. Now, what happens sometimes, and I know people who this happened to as well. In fact, actually, this has happened to me before in Facebook groups, is, you spent a lot of time building rapport, building a reputation, building relationships inside a particular Facebook group. And then maybe one day you do something wrong without even realizing it. Maybe it's because of a certain post you did. Maybe it's because there's a new rule in the group that you broke and you didn't realize that rule was introduced. Or it could be for no reason, honestly. As a Facebook group owner, I will say one of the rules in my group, if you come and join my group, it says this is the cult of Zeky Ahmed, and Zeky does as he pleases. So if I don't like you, I could just ban you from the group. That's a rule in my group, and I don't care. That's how I like to play it. So here's the thing. When you're in somebody else's group, if they don't like you for whatever reason, you rub them the wrong way, they could choose to ban you. And it's happened to me before in a group. I know other people that it's happened to, so they invested so much effort into this audience, but with one click of a button, poof, they're gone. Yeah. And the issue again there is you were relying your entire business on borrowing from somebody else's audience. So for the person who was running ads, they were borrowing an audience from Mark Zuckerberg. For you, you were borrowing this Facebook group owner's audience that's not your audience at the end of the day. So what ends up happening is, people, you might have been getting a lot of leads, you might have been getting a lot of business from this community that you were in, but now that you're out of the picture, all of that just vanishes. It's gone. This is why you need to build your audience. And this is what I tell people in my Facebook group. This is what I tell people in my program. If you do not build your own audience, your business is never secure. It doesn't matter how big your business is. It doesn't matter how profitable your business is until you build your own audience that knows you, that follows you, that's passionate. And that's what I mean when I say a cult-like audience. They're passionate about you to the point that if, I have a Facebook group, I could still, it's on Facebook. So technically it could still be shut down on me. But if I build a good enough relationship with my audience, it doesn't matter. Because first off, I get them onto my email list, but also I can tell them, hey, I'm moving to this other platform. Come join me there. That's what you want to do. You want to build an audience that has that level of a relationship with you, that if you are banned from whatever platform tomorrow, they will follow you somewhere else because they want to consume your content. They want to engage with you and have whatever it is that you have to offer. And until you do that, your business is not secure, and it's not really your own business because it can be stripped away from you at any moment.
Yeah, love it. Like, and that's so true. And that's the thing people just don't understand. There's some people out there who are making like, let's say 6 figures a year or even more, and they were out of business because their account got shut, and that's it. They were unable to get back on Facebook, and they don't have a business. I got also suspended on Facebook. You know, I went out of the Facebook out there, and the only reason I was able to survive because I was doing kind of interviews, I was kind of building audience, I wasn't relying on Facebook alone, I was building email list, I had a YouTube channel, so I didn't rely on one thing and that is it. So that is the thing out there what people don't understand. But yeah, like that short-term goal, but also having a long-term goal makes a lot of sense. Like people need to have that number. Love it, man. So what is the next thing for you, man? Like you've been able to get into affiliate marketing, you're still crossing into the affiliate marketing, even though you're doing it in a side base, you have a software in place right now. What is the next step? What is the next thing for you? I know you're also kind of getting into crypto, that William Miner, I'm watching your story, man. So what's the next thing for you, man?
Yeah, so the crypto thing for me is kind of a side thing. I just like, experimenting with it as investment. For those who don't know what RJ's talking about, is I recently started mining crypto. That's just a for fun experiment I'm doing on the side, and also because I'm looking now of places to use my money in a wise way for long-term investments. In terms of what my focus is and what's next for me, on the next little while, man, it's this focus of the Cult Builders brand, because, and I made that pivot this year. I wasn't even doing this last year. Last year, my focus was more on helping people with organic marketing and all of that. But, while I was doing that, I realized this problem that I just mentioned, to you, that a lot of people are getting results with organic marketing or paid advertising if they're doing that, but they're not focused on building an audience. And for me, really what the game changer was in my business was building my own audience, not relying on other people's audiences, not being on the mercy of other influencers, but building my own audience, which I did inside of my Facebook group. Now it's about like 3,800 people. So that Facebook group is what allowed me to make my money and make 6 figures from that group. Now that's what I want to focus on, because that's really the message that I'm passionate about in this space, is getting people to understand the importance of building their audience and not putting their business at the mercy of other people. And what you're going to find, by the way, when you make this shift and start focusing on building your audience, is there's going to be a lot of other benefits that come about it as well. Aside from the fact that, like, in my Facebook group, I've had so many times where I'm like, just whip up a Facebook Live and do a Facebook Live, for an hour and make thousands of dollars as a result of that. I've had other times where I bring, do JV deals. If you guys don't know what JV deals are, joint venture deals, where somebody else has a product they want to sell. And I literally would bring them inside of my Facebook group. And I haven't done any of these in a while, but before I was doing them a lot more, is I'll bring them inside the Facebook group to do their own training. And all I do at the beginning is introduce them for like, 2-3 minutes. And then I've had JV arrangements like that have made me $5,000 off of one training that they did that I spent 5 minutes doing. That's the power of having your own audience and not even having a massive audience. Like I said, now my Facebook group is 3,800 people. I have other audiences like my email list and YouTube and whatever, but that Facebook group has made me a lot of money. And really 3,800 people in a Facebook group isn't so massive in the grand scheme of things, but it's about the quality of your audience. So that's basically, that's like the benefit that most people already can think of. But what people don't also realize is, just by virtue of having an audience, you're going to get other benefits that you don't think about, just simply as, for example, the connections that you'll be able to make. I was recently reading Traffic Secrets by Russell Brunson. So I had this book that I got ages ago, but I never actually cracked it open for a long time. And I just recently started reading it. And there was something he mentioned in there. I don't remember where in it he mentioned. I think it was in Traffic Secrets. I could be confusing with another book, but I read that and I was like, man, this is so true. He mentioned how, when you want to connect with other people in your industry, especially the big names, like how he connected with Tony Robbins. Really, the asset that's going to allow you to do that is your audience. If me, Zeky Ahmed, is coming to, let's say you were Tony Robbins, right? or whoever, let's say whatever massive celebrity level influencer you are, if I was coming to you as somebody who has an audience of 100 people, it's very likely you're not going to take my calls or my messages. But now let's say I had been building my audience and my audience is 1 million people. It doesn't even matter. A lot of times it's not even going to matter what you think about me personally. When I hit you up, you're gonna think to yourself, oh wow, he has an audience of 1 million people. I need to take his phone call and I need to see what he wants, because if he wants to partner up on something, I want to partner up with him. And that's irrelevant of what you think about me personally. That's the assets of having an audience, and especially if you have a very passionate audience or cult-like audience. That's just some of the benefits that it'll give you. So yeah, man, I don't remember the question now because I went on a crazy rant, but but whatever the question was, I expressed what I meant to express.
Man, I really can't wait how things gonna go for you out there, because I can wait to see you for the next decade, because I'm here for a long time, man. I want to see you how you grow. I want to see how things gonna be out there. Because, again, like most people just, if they have the gratitude point, like where they are at the moment, and be thankful for it, and be like, okay, we're gonna hope for the best for the future. Things are gonna be much better rather than only comparing, which is a normal thing. But yeah. But man, like, thank you so much for your time out there. Where people can find about you, your group, and everything.
Can you say that last part? It was kind of blurry. I didn't hear the last part of that.
Yeah. So where can people find about you and your group and everything?
Oh, where can people connect with me? Yeah, for sure. So if you want to connect with me, and I'd love to connect with you guys, let's become friends. You can join my Facebook community. Just go to startmycult.com, and I will teach you how to become a cult leader too. And there's a lot of people. Like I said, it's a community of 3,800 people, very active. There's amazing people in there of all levels of business. So it'd be awesome to have you guys as a part of it. Just go to startmycult.com. And that link will take you straight to the Facebook group. Join the Facebook group. It'll ask you a couple questions. Make sure to answer those questions so I know you're a real human being. And then me or one of the admins will approve you. And then from there, we can continue to get to know each other.
Make sure Zeky likes you.
Yeah, make sure you toe the line, because we are a cult.
Awesome. So I'm gonna post up the link in the description and the show notes, everything down below. Thank you so much, Zeky, for being on the show. Any last thing that you want to say before we round the show?
No, man. Just thank you for having me here. It's my pleasure. I love to get on these shows because it's an opportunity to just chat and kick it with other entrepreneurs, which I always enjoy. So yeah, man, it was a pleasure to be here. Thank you to everybody who tuned in, and I'd love to get to know you guys. By the way, if you were watching this, because right now I have my phone here, I can't really see who's here with us. But I'll come back and I'll check it out on RJ's profile. So you can just drop a comment and let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I was gonna say how the weather is, but I don't know because I've been working from home and inside so far. But yeah, let me know where you're tuning in from, and I'll see you guys inside of the Facebook group at startmycult.com.
Awesome. Again, Zeky, thank you so much for being on the show. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for your time out there. We're definitely gonna see you guys in the next episode. Until then, bye-bye.